7 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. It's Saturday. It's April 29th, 2023. Happy to have you along with us. Thanks for joining us. Tom Eaglehop, your morning mayor in the house. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing, in Kamloops, Canada. He's so sharp we don't let him play with balloons. We're making radio great again. Mental floss for your brain. Tom and Shane living like it's still a free country. Believe it or not. 246 shopping days till Christmas. It's International Dance Day, it's National Rebuilding Day, and International Sculpture Day, Shane. So we're off to a good start this morning.
Yeah, dancing's back since COVID's gone, and dancing's a great thing. It's a great exercise for anybody of any age, but particularly older people.
Yeah,
you get out there on the dance floor. Swing dancing is a great exercise.
That's for sure.
A lot of stretching and swinging, and
it is
good for your balance, good for your mental thought. Yeah, it clears your mind because all you do is think about the music.
Yeah, I keep remembering Elaine on Seinfeld dancing, and how excellent she was.
And ladies, I can teach any lady out there in less than 5 minutes how to swing dance. You don't even need 12 steps.
All right. You may need 12 steps after they dance with you, but other than that, should be fine. So, all right.
The great tradition about dancing, real quick, wasn't on the list, but I'll mention it anyway because it's important.
Yeah.
Dancing's a great tradition because a woman has to trust a man. So when a man asks you to dance and you say yes, you're telling him you trust him, particularly if you're touch dancing, like I mentioned, swing dancing or slow dancing or ballroom dancing of any kind, because he has to lead. And that's a very difficult thing because people can see you. But the second key, there's two keys that I teach. The second key is just look at your partner in the eyes. Don't think about anything. And no one knows you make a mistake unless you tell them or show them.
Mm-hmm. There you go. It's just that simple.
Two rules of my dance club.
All right.
Where are we going now?
What are the two rules?
I can teach you to dance in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Trust the man you're dancing with.
All right. Well, apparently the Montana legislature doesn't trust one of their legislators, Shane, because
I see that.
Transgender lawmaker Zooey Zephyr barred from the Montana House floor after Republican lawmakers voted to silence her for the rest of the 2023 session. I think the session's over around May 10th, somewhere in there. What
did she go off and start yelling on the floor? Or?
Well, she was taking exception to the mutilation of minors. They called it gender affirming care, but
right.
We all know what it is. It's mutilation of minors. And the gallery disrupted and, yelling, let her speak. And so they said, well, you're a distraction to the business we're doing here, so you're out of here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Kabam! What riding or county is she from?
She's from Missoula, of course.
Oh, is she?
100th district in Missoula, I believe. If I'm got my facts right. But she told Republicans colleagues they'll have blood on their hands if they ban sex change surgery for kids, which led to her being silenced in sessions this week. So she's barred from the floor, anteroom, and the gallery for the rest of the legislative session this year. Her ban was passed 68 to 32. The 32 Democrats all voted in her favor, of course. But
that's a pretty crude accusation when it's the woke that has the bloody hands.
I was going to say, if there's anybody that has blood on their hands, it's going to be anybody that votes for mutilating kids before they're able to make decisions on their own, and more detriment to their parents for allowing it.
I know. I know we've talked about the block of transgender. I mean, it's like 1.1%. I mean, it's just, but it is a large number. It's like 1.6 million people, but they have expendable income and they'll get out and vote. But you'd think that women, mothers, particularly in the suburbs with children, why would they vote for a Democrat or a woke person with these beliefs? it's quite. I don't get it. I don't get your politics anymore, though. I told you that, so I'm out of here, baby.
The United States has just gone completely off the rails. I mean, we're off the charts so far that the train can't find us. That's how far.
Oh, I know. War, pestilence, starvation, and you're talking about the abuse of children. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's getting a little ridiculous. Well, 2021, the CBC released data showing 24% of high school students said they were either bisexual, 12%, gay or lesbian, 3%, or other, 3.9%, or said they question their sexuality, 5.2%. So 1 in 4 students in 2021 think they're a sex other than what they are.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, if you ask the same question to the same children about being a racist, they'd all tell you no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
But the woke tried that. They tried to make them all racist, didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
They all tried to make them all bigots, didn't work. So, let's press this issue about this minority. It's a sad state of affairs when it's a personal choice, a decision that's made public policy and political talking point. It's really weird.
Yeah. If you want to be a part of the big broadcast today, 406-522-TALK is the number, 406-522-8255. Let's go to the phones. Caller, you are on with the amazing, award-winning Tom and Shane. What's up?
You are amazing, Tom and Shane. Well, I guess I called the right number.
You got the right number, Nancy. How you doing?
I'd be worried. Well, good morning, everyone. Zooey Zephyr, interesting character. I'm going to call him a him because that's exactly what he is. He was born, I guess, in Billings, Montana. His real name is Zachary Race, Raesh. And I agree with what the House did to him. He's there to make laws and to vote in Portland. He's not there to protest. He's not a lawmaker. I see him as a troublemaker, and he's funded by dark money. This is a way to attack the nuclear family and also our culture and our moral compass in this country. You know, Tom and Shane, homosexuals have been around since the beginning of time, and we have accepted them, and they've adapted nicely into our culture, all over the world. And they've contributed to this country. I mean, they've fought in our wars. They've got good jobs, education. They buy properties. I mean, they go to church, and they just prefer relationships with their same sex. And I want to explain something. That geneticists have discovered that all human embryos start life as females, as do all embryos of mammals. We are a mammal. And about the second month, the fetal test elaborate enough androgens to offset the maternal estrogens, and maleness develops. And when this happens, sometimes that split, when it becomes a male from the female, they keep too much of the female hormones, and they grow up with characteristics, feminine characteristics, and this, and their voices and everything are a little bit different, and that's something that happens in the mother's womb. We have no control over that. I mean, the creation of life is a miracle as it is. We just don't know. It's something unknown. But what she did was, or what they did was horrible. I guess they were throwing things down at the other members of the legislature and everything. That is uncalled for, and it's disrespectful and the rule of law. And I'm so glad that the House banned her or him. And I don't know. This transgender thing, it started, about 10 years ago, and about the last 3 or 4 years, it's really been getting a push from the media and everything else. And our schools did a very bad thing. When they started to go along with this and start painting LGBT colors in the hallways and school stairs, they were wrong to do that. That should not have been brought into our public school system at all. And now all the kids are getting confused. And I really feel so sad and sorrowful for our children in public grade schools and high schools. They just don't have the tranquility we had growing up, and the sports and the camaraderie. I mean, there seems to be so much tension and so much questioning in our public school systems, and it's just tragic. So I don't care what anybody says. These people, these trans, they're not. I don't know. They seem to have mental issues, and psychiatric care, I think, is what the Zooey Zephyr needs. I mean, they have violent tendencies. I mean, I'm starting to hear violence all over from that transgenders are causing, and we never heard that in the homosexual community before. And so I just wish that some of the homosexuals, they would step up to the plate and kind of give their opinions on all this. But that's all I had to say today. Everybody try and have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks for the call, Nancy. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Let's take another call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up? All right. Not there. All right. Well, in the same vein here, Shane, David Gianforte, the governor's son, 32 years old, sat down with the governor to discuss the LGBTQ ASAP WXYZ WTF, I guess.
Plus, don't forget the plus.
Plus, yeah, I got to put the plus in there. Yeah, because it goes on forever. So he's talking about Senate Bill 99, a ban on, and this may be the last time I call it gender affirming health care, because it's gender mutilation of minors. If you want to define the bill accurately, and a bill to define sex as strictly binary in Montana's code, and Bill 359, a ban on drag performances in public places, and yeah, he's talking to Dad, saying, "Hey, Dad, you're coming down on my kind or my group."
My minority.
Yeah. Well, he signed the bill. Gianforte signed the bill, as far as I can,
Of course.
as far as I can see. And
that's what the majority of Montana voters or the public would want him to do. So that's what he's there to do, buddy.
Yeah.
Rule of the majority. Rights of the minority.
Well, the other thing that is going on in the legislature regarding abortion, which is another thing that when Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court, well, it wasn't overturned. It was just who has charge of it changed, I guess. But anyway, Montana's health department will require prior documentation that an abortion is medically necessary before the state's Medicaid program will authorize payment for the procedure. The rule is set to take effect on Monday, but the state's abortion providers filed a lawsuit. What a surprise! Friday, seeking to block it. The legislature also passed a bill this week to put similar requirements into state law starting on July 1st. The health agency took public comment in January about the rule change that opponents said would reduce access, delay, and possibly prevent abortion care for low-income women. The health department said a review of the abortions over the past decade led it to believe it was paying for elective abortions, not medically necessary abortions. So there you are.
Well, the Eagle Man lays it out for you in plain English, just so you know. Hey, just a thought about Nancy's call. Look, I was in a singer. Enjoyed it all my life. When I was in junior high, I was in a choir. And when I was in high school, I was in the choir of Thomas Jefferson. And I got picked to be in the Denver choir, the city choir. So I was a basic tenor because I could sing a high C, which is why you have those beautiful choirs, boys in Europe, in the churches and so forth. But when we physically change between 16 and 18, so does our voice. I mean, it's just one of those natural progressions that we go through. Mm-hmm. So, it's not that there's any, I mean, I think everybody has at some point in their life, mostly in high school or maybe college, this idea about, should I experiment? And the vast majority, like 90%, No. They say, no, I'm not interested. So again, this is one of the things. There's no way this can be made. A decision on this can be made before you reach puberty. 16 for guys and 13, 14 for girls. But it's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, I know. It's growing up in today's society versus when we grew up, Shane. 24/7, 365 social media. More cyberbullying of girls and guys, and I feel for parents today that have a kid in school that the pressures must be unbearable for these kids.
Well, and I think it's particularly in the baby boomers and the greatest generation. 2025 to 45, and then 45 to 65, our generation. We had fathers in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
Their discipline tends to keep you in line. As your designated, personage. Girls aren't physically disciplined by most parents, but males are, right? So. You learn pretty.
We hope so. I was
quick. I was, yeah.
Let's see if we can take another phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you are on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Yeah, I wanted to go on with what Nancy was saying, and they need to clarify, because I know you were explaining to Shane what happened in the house, but it wasn't the idea that what she said about, or he said about blood on your hands is what happened after that, when all that mob came into the Capitol there, and then they started beating on the doors and stuff of the Capitol doors to try to make a riot, and then they were throwing red gloves down at the legislators, so they had to get them up and against the walls and whatnot, and then he stood up and held his hand up like Black Lives Matter or whatever to basically egg on the riot, which they call it, like Aaron Flint said, a transurrection. So it wasn't an idea about how bad it was about him saying that it was blood on their hands, but the idea that he was involved in causing an insurrection at our Capitol and everything, and then they had to have the riot police come in there, and they had a heads up on the deal, and they arrested those people, and then the Associated Press to them just kind of made it look like they were escorted out. No, they I think it was 7 of them got arrested, and probably should have been more of them, but he was standing right down on the House floor with his mic and egging it on, so that's why he got his butt thrown out of there. And the other thing is, when you get elected to that, you have to go through a course that with protocol and that, which he was very aware of, so that's what happened at the whole deal. And so it was all brought down. All he had to do was apologize like other legislators have, and he'd have been fine. But like you guys been saying, these transgender people are worse off than the homosexuals. They're just plumb evil. So I'll just give you my 2 cents on that.
All right, man. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. All right. Yeah. There's a lot to digest there, Shane. That
or throw up.
Yeah. Well, the other sad point is, of course, it puts Montana on the national map. We've been all over national news. They'll probably interview Zooey on 60 Minutes before long, I would guess. So.
Well, that's because the woke and the left have targeted Montana. They think it's purple and they can turn it red or blue. But that Soros has been pouring all kinds of money into your state.
Yeah.
Across the local and state elections to try and turn the state, blue, and it's not succeeding.
Yeah. Well, let's get a few text messages here before we go to the bottom of the hour. Woke. Republicans think this is a scary word. No, we finally come up with our own word that works.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, it's a black word, so if you want to be absolutely accurate about it, so.
That's true.
Why is it so hard for Republicans to call a person a woman after they go through the surgery to change their sex organs? I don't have a problem with that if they do the change, but as far as I know, Zooey has not. Sorry, the stupid protesters were not throwing stuff down. Well, the footage says otherwise. They were wrong.
I just want to throw this in about that last one about calling a woman with a sex change and the medical procedure, why people don't call her a woman. That's why that Associate Justice was asked that question. Can you define a woman? And so it is a question that should be answered by lawmakers because of that exact point. A woman is a sentient being in a species that can bear children, and as a mammal bears the children and carries it. And so it's not a difficult definition, but you make those, you define a woman as she is, then a transgender does not qualify to be called a woman.
Transgenders are not violent, but they do get violent attacks on them by paranoid haters. Well, so do Asians, and so do a lot of other people that don't deserve it. So, Governor Jacob,
it's just like they're not content with their name. I mean, a transgender is a transgender, and that's fine, like you said, and I agree.
Well, and also some of the gay folks say, "Well, don't lump them in with me. They're an entirely different group."
Yeah,
don't one size doesn't fit all, so to speak. So,
but they should be identified as a different group. Like they're a minority within that minority, actually. So there you are.
Well, that's true. There you are. All right, let's go wrap it up for this first segment. When we come back, I want to talk about Bud Light a little bit because I think Bud Light sheds a lot on this topic, and we've got a lot more we got to get into as well. Joe Biden is paroling Ukrainians in the United States. We're going to talk about that when we come back, so stay tuned. A lot more Tom and Shane to come right after the news. Welcome back, everyone. 27 minutes for the top of the hour, and Tom and Shane on in the morning, and I did misspeak. Zooey did have her surgery, so I guess he, she, it, whatever, is officially female. So let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, whoops, nobody there. All right, let's try over here. Flipping around, Shane. They're going everywhere. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up? All right. We're having a phone issue this morning, as usual. So keep trying. I'm trying to get you on. So let it ring. we'll find a line you can talk on. Maybe here, caller.
Hello.
Are you there?
I am. I finally
right.
got a line I can talk on.
Finally, yeah. Thanks. Go for it, Jerry.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, I have a quick question. Why do they call it gender affirming care? Your gender is affirmed when you're born, is that correct?
Well, that's my thought. You're pretty well what you are. You're short, tall, fat, thin, black, white, rich, poor.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm confused, and I wish some of these texters would understand this. It just amazes me that we have to go through this whole diatribe for months about transgenders. I mean, good grief. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Shane.
Affirming is a soft word. It sounds loving. It sounds, like you want to be supportive.
Yeah.
So affirming is like it's a soft verb.
Yeah. Pro-choice sounds much better than pro-death.
Mutilation is, which, as Thomas pointed out, which is what they're doing. That doesn't go well,
Yeah.
Mutilation care bill. We want you to vote to mutilate.
Yeah, it doesn't go well on a Hallmark card.
That's right, but we want you to vote for affirming. It just sounds so soft.
And the agenda continues because they're pushing puberty blockers You know, and an abortion pill also. This to me is a strong lobby for big pharma. You know, the COVID vaccine. Well, they can't make any more money on that, so they might as well, you know, start this kind of stuff. And by the way, how do you block a puberty? I mean, that's a natural process, and why would you want to do that?
Well, scientists have figured it out. That's why they want to make their money. But as I've always said, when man's ruled by laws and not morals, everything is acceptable. So here we go again. Another acceptable thing because of man, you know, the greatness of man.
Gentlemen, are we going to default, or what's going on here?
No, we're not going to default.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
Well,
now
you won't default as a country.
Yeah.
But the market may say that you have. And that's the danger that we keep trying to tell people for the last 2 years. This is the danger. If people move away, you know, like China has, because we talked about it, they're dumping their debt. And Jerry, you remember a year ago I said, no, actually 2 years ago when before Trump was out during COVID, I said he should grab the debt. You know, at that point it was $900 billion from China because he can, and to pay for it. But you know they're starting to dump their U.S. debt because they think they're going to be able to make this transition now from global trading away. Not just they'll continue trading with the U.S., but the rest of the world they'll trade directly. So they would probably only require, you know, $500 billion in U.S. debt to trade with the U.S. So
I see.
They wouldn't need the other $400 billion. I'm sorry?
Well, it's quite an indication when our GDP growth, less than expected, is down to 1.1%.
And less for next year. There's your fifth black swan.
Yeah.
Well,
that's five black swans. That's a lot.
Well, you've seen gas. You've seen gas go up, and anytime gas and diesel go up, that impacts store shelves. You know, because it just absolutely costs more to get it there. So we're going to see this. You know, Shane and I have been talking about it. The summer is not going to be fun. The fall's not going to be fun. Next year, you got an election year, so that's not going to be fun. So it's going to be a tough 2 years. Back when COVID started, they said it would probably take till the end of 2023 to recover from it. And that's, you know, that's what we're looking at.
And if Joe 3K, if Joe 3K gets to 28%, you know, before the primaries, Biden's gone.
Well, I think it's going to be beyond that, Tom. Beyond 2023, it's going to take another couple of years.
No, I think it will. I think the election is going to disrupt everything.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, people aren't going to have any. There's going to be so much fear dragged out during this coming election that, I mean, Americans are going to be sitting in their homes with locked doors and their hand on the trigger.
Well, I don't have a trigger, but I've got plenty of arrows.
That's to protect the food that they had to pay for.
Right. I don't have a trigger, but I got plenty of arrows for my bow. So if anybody
okay, there you go. All right.
Yeah, they're going to look like a pincushion by the time I'm finished with them.
You get one of those crossbows that fires 3 arrows at a time, Jerry.
Egad.
There you go.
I got enough trouble loading one.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Yeah. Did you fellas listen to Biden's re-election video thing that came out?
Absolutely, of course. Yeah, we have to. It's our job.
Yeah, why does Biden say it's our democracy? We're not.
Yeah.
You know, the Pledge of Allegiance says to the republic.
Yeah, we're
not a democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said inflation's going down.
But he doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, and the White House says that the president created 12 million jobs. Obviously, Tom, this gentleman has not got your memo.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently not.
I wish they'd read your memo. And Tom, one quick thing.
Sure.
Did you hear this news at the top of the hour or before you came on the air about San Diego, your old stomping grounds?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to buy 3 hotels at a price of $150 million or some kind of thing to house the homeless.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to take care of that property as their own, Jerry.
Yep, sure.
They're going to be tearing out
And
the copper pipes to hawk. Down.
Yeah, there'll actually be more people living in the parking lot than in the hotel.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. And notice too, gentlemen, when the first time unemployment claims are, way above 200,000, that is why your commercial for ZipRecruiter has increased. They're in first place. And since the price of gas is going up, that app, that free Upside app, is now in second place. So you can see the trend.
Oh, yeah.
Just
so I have a question for both you scholars. Why is it in California that the homeless don't live on the beach?
That's a good question, Tom, and or Shane, and I think I understand. I know why. When the tide comes in, when the tide comes in, they'll get washed back out.
Having been homeless in San Diego myself personally, I will tell you why you're not at the beach. Everybody's walking around in swimsuits. Nobody's got any money for you. Panhandling at the beach doesn't work. You got to go down to the high end the monetary district. And, I always used a plastic cup, I'd put $1 in it,
right.
to entice people.
Yeah. You salt them. Yeah. You salt the mind that time. That's a good idea.
That's what I did. Yes.
Yep. There you go, Shane. There you go.
There's your answer. But well, folks, you heard it here first from your mayor and the Eagle Man and the and of course the great one. Yeah.
There you go, man.
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks for the call, man.
Always a pleasure.
All right, take it easy. All right. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Bud Light for a second because that blew up all over the place on the marketing and advertising gal from Anheuser-Busch. And the interesting thing about this, Shane, is that, we've been talking about transsexuals all morning, or most of the morning anyway. And, I'll read a text in a minute that calls us bigots and whatever from, calling this out. But the thing about Bud Light is Bud Light gave people the opportunity to voice their anti-woke without directly going after someone. They went after a company. And that's why, because it was safe to do. It was safe to say, I don't like this. I don't like brands doing this. So all these, celebrities come out. I'm taking Bud Light off my tour bus. Bars stop selling it. And it cost Anheuser-Busch a lot of money. Well, InBev, the Belgian company that owns them, I guess, or Swedish or wherever the hell they are.
Belgian. Yeah, it's a Belgian.
Yeah. So this was an example of the people were free to say, I don't go for all this, shoved down my throat. So I'm gonna demonstrate against an entity, an unhuman entity, and I can, and I'm not. There's no pushback against me if I don't want to enjoy a Bud Light, So that was that showed the feeling of America, I think.
Yeah, and as I said, I'm a market guy. So the 52-week low for Anheuser-Busch, which, as you pointed out, is a Belgian amalgamated company, and was $44.5 back in November of last year. And it was really doing good. I mean, it had climbed to $67, and then they started this ad, and then it dropped off down $5, and it's come back. It's back around $65 again. Mm-hmm. But the point is it dropped off by $5 billion in value.
Yeah.
And well, the market recovered on it. It's one of these situations I'm watching. And I just want to bring this up really quick if I can, because this is an example of a company that I worry about. Google is a great company, and and I still see it way overvalued at $107. It's down 27 cents on Friday, for those who could care. But the PE ratio on it is 24. So right now, with what's happened in the last 19 months, and we've warned people about in November of 21, the problem that you have is that it's a big float. There's 5 billion, almost 6 billion shares out on it. But with a PE ratio of 24, there's 39 million, 47 million shares short. Now that's reported, so you can double that to 100. So there's like 100 million people short on the stock, so trading it up and down or thinking it's going to go down anyway. Well, 100 million at $100 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's like $10 billion. That's a lot.
Well, the Human Rights Campaign is calling on Anheuser-Busch, the maker of Bud Light, to publicly reaffirm its support for the transgender community following weeks of right-wing pushback. I take exception to right-wing pushback. There are a lot of Democrat parents out there that don't want their kid mutilated before the decision making. Till they can make their own decisions logically. So, but anyway, a right-wing pushback over the brewing company's recent partnership with transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney. And a letter sent to Anheuser-Busch, head of human resources Jay Brown, a senior vice president at the Human Rights Foundation, slammed the company response to the controversy as insufficient and cowardly. Well, the American people kind of stood up and said their piece, I think. And I don't think they were all right-wing extremists. So that's where we find ourselves.
No, and they're not. And you're right to declare that. And that's what's great about the show, right? It's being tolerant of all these issues, which you and I are, because we have to be balanced. We can't be partisan, right?
The only thing I'm partisan about is I don't want children mutilated before they're able to make a decision that's going to affect their entire life. I think they need to be at least 18 or at least 21 or whatever.
That's right. That can't be a third party decision. Meaning even parents. As a parent, I can't even imagine. The two biggest concerns I had for my children with regard to doctors raising them was first their teeth. Got to watch those teeth, right?
Yeah, that's
so
it.
And I found out early by the time they're 9, they're going to need braces. Oops, $30,000. Better save that. And the second thing was teachers. That they had good teachers, because I always made a point. As a parent, when the school year started and they were assigned teachers, I went in and met them.
Yeah,
I wanted to know what my children's teacher was like. So it was never a physical thing, ever. Just not something I thought about as a parent. I wouldn't. There's no way I'd push back.
Well, the other thing is, I saw an interview with a teacher who was told they can't discuss the child's sexual preference with the parents. All they can.
Well, and how does that come up? I mean, who makes that law?
I know. I'm restricted to what subjects are taught, homework, assignments, things like that. That's the only thing I'm allowed to talk about. If a child indicates they want to be some other sex, I can't reveal that to the parents.
And the amazing thing about the woke left is that these rights that people are endeared with keep getting younger and younger, but not for a baby. Yeah. Conception in the womb has no rights, but a 6-year-old has privacy rights that you have to keep from the parents. They make no sense, Tom.
No kidding.
You can't have it both ways.
Yep. Let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. Caller, thanks for waiting. You're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, Shane, I'll give you an example of where they have it both ways. But anyway, as far as the beer market goes, the beer market is fairly saturated. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of beers, and only so many people drinking them. And if Bud Gay can become the preferred beer of that community, they would have grabbed a huge market share.
Well, they could have.
Now,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's all guys turning into girls. They're not going to stop drinking beer.
Yeah, I mean, if that becomes the preferred beverage of the gay scene, oh man, this people made some money. Secondly, as far as young babies not having rights, circumcision.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Nobody told me that was going to happen when I came out.
Yeah, you lose 2 inches. Ouch.
That's for sure. From our app chat line, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, based on genes at birth, and no matter what surgery a person does or drugs administered, no one can change their sex. So Zoe is a male no matter what, according to our texter.
That's right. XY, XY, XY. You can't change it. It's just what it is.
It's there and whatever. Governor Gianforte's son is gay. That will confuse listeners. Okay. Now, our listeners are never confused about anything. That's the issue.
That's right.
I've heard a lot of ignorance and bigotry on your show, but your first segment today blows everything else out of the water. Maybe you should change the name of the show to Open for Bigots. The mischaracterization of the trans issue and the bigotry showed, accusing them of violence and perversion. It's disgusting. If you want to help children in today's society, keep your laws and your ignorance away from them and leave it to them and their parents. Well, unfortunately,
that person, go look up the definition of bigotry, you idiot.
Yeah.
A bigot is a person who is intolerant of someone else. Tom and I have never been intolerant of a person, a conversation, a subject, a topic, or anything else that we've discussed on the show. So you are wrong. You owe us an apology. I hope it goes viral.
There you are. Zoe, as reported on the news, is bisexual, so it's all mixed up. So
Wait. No, so now she's in 2 minorities of a minority?
Yeah, well, she's in 3,
accent?
actually. I guess she'd be in 3 minorities. So.
Well, she's in 1 minority already, and then 2 minor minorities.
Yeah.
One is as a bisexual, and one is a transgender. What does she identify as?
Well,
we?
I guess
she
so.
identifies as we.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, she's 3 different genders.
Libs love to throw temper tantrums when they don't get their way, thinking their opponents will cave like the libs' parents must have when they were kids. So, yep, I blame the parents on this. If we got to go there.
Well, the other thing too that's quite fascinating, I think, and I can't speak for you, but I can only speak for myself. Deciding about my political preferences was not easy because I'm socially minded. I think in both business and care of people that can't care for themselves, meaning the government should at times step in and try and provide funding for jobs, like building highways and so forth, so that you keep tradespeople working all the time. But on the other side, the fiscal responsibility, and it wasn't until I got to Nixon that for 2 reasons. One, watching the way he dealt with, which was a terrible mess after Vietnam and Johnson, and the financial situation was, it was almost a depression, right? And then of course ending the Vietnam War. So it's one, and creating things like the Environmental Protection Agency. The guy was totally unbiased and bipartisan.
Okay. Wokeism has been defined or described by its critics as the omnipresent use of race and, to a lesser extent, gender to replace meritocracy Easy for me to say. And thus ensure quality of result. What follows from implementing that ideology are reparatory actions and to reward those of the present by atoning for the injustices done to others in the past. So,
and just for everyone, great comment, because meritocracy is merit, and in a capitalist society, you need to have an area to perceive or judge someone by their merit. What are they capable of doing, and what can they do? Yeah. And if you're better at something like money or business or law or medicine, you're going to be more successful. And that's why, real people, real leaders will tell you they want to judge immigrants because as we know, now 12 million people a year legally come into your country, but based on merit, meaning they got to have a job.
Yeah,
they got to take care of themselves. You don't want people here having everyone else take care of them.
There you go. Wokeism's natural logic is to destroy the lives of people of both genders, of all races, and if need be, those of every age, all to leverage an otherwise unworkable ideology agenda. It destroys everything it touches. It tears apart foes and friends alike, whether by fueling media-driven hatred of Donald Trump or anyone else, or Joe Biden, I guess. So there we are. So
gang. Now don't exhale too big because you'll make me nervous.
Yeah, well, it's only 2 hours to go. We'll be back with more right after the news. Stay tuned. More Tom and Shane on the way. Welcome back, everyone. 7 minutes after the hour of 9 a.m. It's Saturday. It's April 29, 2023. We're looking for a high of 69 degrees today. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing, is in Kamloops, Canada. Tom Eaglehop, your morning mayor, in the house. And Shane, it's 9 o'clock. It's time for Trump actions you didn't know he did.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Away, there you go, man.
Here we go. Second Amendment. In August, the Justice Department terminated Operation Choke Point, an Obama program encouraging banks not to do business with high-risk businesses, which was used to target gun dealers. Welfare reform. In August, more than 1.1 million fewer Americans were on food stamps under President Trump compared to the Obama administration. Welfare reform. In August, the Department of Health and Human Services rescinded, Shane, Obama-era directive that had allowed states to request a waiver to ignore work requirements for the poor in order to receive welfare. Work requirements, not required under Obama for the other. Oh, let's see. Government reform.
Someone hanging up. Someone hanging up.
Government reform. The president signed an executive order in August projected to infrastructure projects. The order establishes a 2-year goal for the federal government to permit or to process all the actions required by federal law for the environmental review of permits for major infrastructure projects. Sorry. Veteran Administration Reform. President signed the Harry W. Commerly Veterans Education Assistance Act in August, which provides education benefits to veterans, service members, and their family members, including tuition, fees, books, housing, and other additional costs. Also with Veterans Administration, President Trump signed the Veterans Appeals Improvement and Modernization Act in August, streamlining the lengthy process that veterans undergo when appealing disability benefits claims with the VA. More than 470,000 veterans were awaiting decisions regarding their appeals. The Veteran Affairs Administration is the first agency to post information on employee disciplinary action online. Islamic Jihad. In August, Trump presented in an address to the nation a new military strategy that put Pakistan on notice for supporting jihadists and warned Kabul It would no longer receive a blank check, moving the U.S. away from the Bush-era policy of nation building and focusing on killing terrorists. Military. In August, Trump directed the military not to move forward with a controversial Obama mandate to allow for the first time transgender individuals to be recruited into the armed forces. Military. Trump elevated the Department of Defense Cyber Command to the status of Unified Combatant Command in August, demonstrating an increased focus on cybersecurity.
And if I could just remind everyone about Pakistan, I don't mean to interrupt you, and I apologize,
okay,
but it should be mentioned. The big thing here with Trump on Pakistan was that they were blackmailing your country because Afghanistan was landlocked, and they had to go through Pakistan to get equipment and fuel that they couldn't fly in through Pakistan. And they were having to pay like over $100 billion a year just to drive it in, through their country. So, again, when you expand the reasoning for it, the guy's just smart, common sense stuff, right?
Yep, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Immigration. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services in August denied requests from employers to import cheap foreign labor into the U.S. for high-skilled jobs if the employer could not explain why they wanted to pay a lower wage for such work. So
that's right. Now, can we just jump to why plummeting tax receipts are raising fears about the debt ceiling?
Right after this call, we will.
Okay. Fire away, buddy.
Caller, you're on the air. What's going on? All right, let's go here. Caller, you're on the air. What's up?
Oh, wow. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Elena from Peaburg. It's been a while. Trying to get through to you guys is like hitting a lottery.
I know. It's so hard. I don't know why it has to be so difficult to get a phone system that works. But
anyway. Do you feel like a robo-caller when you're trying to call in?
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Do you feel like a robo-caller when you're calling in?
Okay, I've been trying since the last hour, when you were talking about Rep Zooey Zephyr.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys are on Twitter.
I am.
Oh, good. Okay. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Carl, C-A-R-L.
Mm-hmm.
He's with the Claremont Institute. And he's been doing a background research on who this person is. And if you go on his thread, it's very interesting. He does a whole bunch of links and documentation as to who this person was. And if this goes viral, which I'm hoping it does, this may end Mr. Zooey's national fame.
Yeah, all right. Well, in the comments, when I put up our replay, there'll be some links in the description to Zooey's bio and whatever.
Great. Now, when you say that, is that on when you do your podcast?
Yeah, it's at KMMSAM.com. Just click on Tom and Shane's podcast.
Okay.
And I usually have it up by 11:30. It's commercial free. You don't get the news. You don't get. You just get us.
Yeah, Tom has to get up early to do that.
I do. Yeah, I got to get up early.
Well, I've been listening to you again. Nancy introduced me to you guys, and I've been listening to you. And I got to give you a thumbs up. I'm spreading the word about you because a lot of us are fed up with the other stuff, the alternatives that we've got, the Montana talk shows.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we used to be on Monday through Friday, and they kicked us off for COVID. But we're trying our best to get back to Monday through Friday. It's an uphill process when you're dealing with a major corporation. So it's kind of hard.
Especially one that's not headquarters in Montana.
Amen to that.
Yeah, the management of the radio station thought people would prefer to listen to fake Fauci than us.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Well, any help you guys need.
Well, hey, just keep spreading the word. We're here every week trying to do the best we can, and we're.
Well, the help you can give us, and I will beg for it from all of the listeners. go to our podcast, hit subscribe, hit like, and help us
I love
get our
Canada.
numbers.
Yeah.
So you guys take care up there, too.
All
Have a
right.
great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. All right. I know. Let's see. From our text line, 478-8298. I'm sorry, Shane. I'll read this, and then we'll get to what you want to talk about. The only thing about that thing from Missoula is that it can't reproduce. The last straw for every civilization is the normalization of sexual craziness. Then they collapse. So, all right.
True.
Moving on. Well,
you had one of the topics today to talk about was why plunging tax receipts are raising fears about the debt ceiling. So I did some research on this, and I just wanted to comment about it because it's really important to what we were talking about and this recession that both countries are in, and they're going to get worse. But the numbers are really harsh because right now, today, you're at 161,731,000 employed people in your country, which is 1.7 million more than in pre-COVID. In 2020, it was, or in 2000, it was 160 million. So that's a positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that comes through the private sector jobs. It's up a million from 127.5 to 128 million, and U.S. self-employed is still at around 9, and it was at 10 pre-COVID. Union jobs are around the same at 15.4 million. Government workers are down a million. They were at 24.5. They're at 23 now. But manufacturing now is at 13 million. It's down 4 million from 17 million in 2000. So that 4 million drop in manufacturing, it tells you a lot. Here's what it tells you. The 7 million invaders or illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call, of them, only 1 million probably to 1.5 million are reporting income. So it says that the other 4 or 5 that are, taking jobs in your country because unemployment's where it's still at and will remain there, are doing it for cash. So, I mean, they're coming into your country illegally, breaking the law, and then they're working and breaking the law, not even paying taxes. So that's the point I wanted to make, is it's sort of important, and that's why you're down 300 million. But it's not that bad because you're at 4.6 trillion in revenue so far this year, and it should be around 4.9.
Yeah. Yeah, the federal government is pulling in less tax revenue than expected, prompting concerns the early numbers could leave far less time for Congress to strike a deal to avoid a default on the national debt. And we know they're not going to do that, Shane. They're going to vote to raise this. I mean, we go through this. They kick the can down the road 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year at a time. And they always vote for it because we can't afford to default, being the reserve currency of the world.
But the common sense resolve of this for the Republicans should be the following: very simple, one-page law. With, every department must cut their budgets by 5% to increase the debt ceiling. And then you wouldn't have to, because you'd balance your budget and you wouldn't need to. So it solves both problems at once. It's both a political choice, common sense choice, and a great policy argument to put the wokes and Democrats on their heels.
Yeah, it would. So, well, our interest on the debt right now is $561 billion, about half what we sent to Ukraine so far, and the assets per citizen, $559,771. That's the assets per citizen, every man, woman, and child in the United States. So there we go.
Yeah, and even with the significant drop in people buying debt, your debt gets auctioned every week, you're still taking in over $5 trillion a year, or raising over $5 trillion a year. So if that drops below $5 trillion, you got to that'll be another swan, another black swan.
Well, you got to start cutting those programs that everybody,
5%, buddy. That's
you
it.
got to do it.
Nickel.
Got to do it.
Take a nickel. Take a nickel out.
All right. Let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
This is Clint.
Good morning, good sir.
Good morning, Shane. Is it nice up there in Kamloops?
It was 72 degrees yesterday. It's supposed to be 85 today there, buddy.
My God, you're in the banana belt for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Sister City.
He must be 1,000 feet below sea level to have that kind of temperature this time of year.
Yeah.
No, we're high up Lake Una Valley, but we're 500 miles northwest of you.
I know. Well, you're further
You're
north. You
downhill.
shouldn't get as much sun. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
On hill,
Go ahead.
too. You don't have the elevation we have here, I don't believe.
Yeah.
No, same
Anyway.
elevation as Bozeman.
About 4,300 at the airport and about near 5,000 at the college.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was this. Two things. I want to talk about money first and the national debt. And I think that the national debt, I think that the president will veto what our Speaker of the House has put out with the Republican end of it, and part of them Democrats also, to put out for the debt ceiling. They want to reduce the 31 or 30 some $1 trillion debt we have.
Yeah, they want to go back to 2022 levels.
Yeah, well, we got there's one. Tom, you and I, we owe $94,000 apiece to pay our share of the debt.
But we have over $500,000 in assets.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, we couldn't do it. There's no way. What I'm saying, the money's becoming worth less and less, and it's taken more and more of it to buy anything. So we're into a recession or a depression, whatever you want to call it. Everything seems like it's gas now. It's $3.45 a gallon, and I think before the summer's over, it's going to get more.
I think so too.
And I don't really think our federal government knows what the hell they're doing with the border or any of the rest of the government. I think it's a waste. That's all I want to say about that. But here's what I want to address the gay issue a little bit.
Sure.
I want to ask you boys a question. There's a lot of people that are born evidently gay, men and women, girls and boys.
Not
and
true.
As they grow up,
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
yeah, and as they grow up, Tom and Shane, they kind of wonder, how come I'm a girl and I want to be a boy? And I think that maybe that. Did you ever stop and think what kind of a psychological effect that would have on that child at about 10 years old or 11?
Well, at 10 years old, I wanted to be a fire truck. So it doesn't. At that age, you're not competent to make those kinds of decisions. You're just not.
That's right. At 10 years old and 65, I was angry that I couldn't be president because I was born in Canada.
Yeah. So, I believe what happens when children grow up and kids are bullied, they're picked on, they're whatever, for whatever reason. And I think you gravitate toward someone who accepts you. And if a particular group, and it happens to be a group of sexual identity, if you're welcomed over there, then, psychologically, I think your brain says, oh, that's where I belong. And
I'd like to see a study done, Thomas, on all of this transgender discussion of how many of these children are being raised by gay couples.
I think you're absolutely.
I doubt many of them are, but.
Oh, I think they are. I think the vast majority are. Those are the ones that are pushing their kids to be gay.
Well, I don't think I seriously doubt.
It's an opinion.
I understand that, but don't put it out as fact.
I didn't say that. I said I'd like to see a study.
Well, you said you were sure. You were sure they were. So.
No, there was a study on the fact that they're not born gay because, and then there was two follow-up studies, and the first one was done 30 years ago with identical twins. So if that were the case, and one was gay when they grew up and the other wasn't, then they should both been gay, and that's what they found. If in some cases with identical twins, one would end up being gay, but not the other one. But there was literally none.
Let me give you some facts that I know that happened in my family, all right? I got a third cousin that was gay. He was a man. And he went to Harvard University and got a law degree, and he became a captain in the United States Navy. And he's buried at North Montana right now. The thing is, I've talked to him, and I asked him what it felt like. He says, when I was young, I didn't know whether I wanted to be have a boy for a boyfriend or a girl. And he told me, he says, the back and forth psychological effect on me was terrible. And the way he tried to kill it in himself, so he didn't think that way, is he decided he'd go to the Navy. So he went to the Navy. But here is a guy with an IQ. He was kind of like Donald Trump. He was very intelligent. Commanded a ship at sea. His brother became a senator of the state of Montana. And he was a friend of mine, even though he was related to a third cousin. So what I'm saying is I spoke to him, and he told me that it was hard. He says to be a boy when maybe you wanted to be a girl, or if you were a boy when you liked men for a boyfriend, or a girl. He was telling me all about it, and I really listened. And I was only about 25 then. And he told me the whole story. So what I'm going to ask you two guys is this. Is it a gene that you're born with that creates it, or is it what you eat, maybe, that could create it or help it, whatever?
I don't think it's either one. I can only speak for myself on this topic, but I can tell you absolutely that I was not born with a sexual preference. When I was a kid, I hung out with all the boys. We played baseball, we played basketball, we played
too.
softball. We didn't want anything to do with women, and that certainly didn't make me gay. But I can tell you, I can remember almost exactly the time that I decided, and it wasn't a decision. It was, that's what I want. So, now if people go through that, I think the question that parents and kids need to ask themselves is, okay, we have male and female, and, the species reproduces by those two attracting to each other. If you're not attracted to the opposite sex, the question to ask is, why not? Why are you feeling what you feel? Why do you think the way you think? That would be my question and we're out of time, Clint. I'm up against the clock.
Well, okay. The thing is, remember this here. The psychological effect on that person, as John told me, he says it's terrible. It's terrible. And that's why I think people, rather than accepting all this, why not have the person talk to someone? If they're truly that feeling is truly genuine, then go for it. I'm not opposed to that, but. Well, the governor of the state of Montana's boy is, and I'd sure like to sometime. If I ever see him, I'm going to talk to him about that.
All right,
but
I got to go.
He should know what I'm talking about.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this segment. We still have a full hour and a half to go, so stay tuned. A lot more coming. I've still got to talk about parole of immigrants from Ukraine. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's April 29th, 2023. We have a caller waiting on the line. So, caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
All right. Right on, John here. How you doing, boy?
Good.
Hey, I'm like Clint. He's got the ferret in the back here. I've got all sorts of people at my new office at the hot pool at Chico Hot Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bad that they don't have hot tub for you there, Tom. So.
Oh well.
Hey. But anyways, like last week or whatever, it was kind of bothering me. So I phoned up to the Secretary of State, and started going through the paperwork and everything, and try to find something that was binding illegal or whatever for misinformation based on a man naming himself Zoe. What was into there, and but because they had that point in their running ads, so you could run it as a furry chicken, and no big deal. So, but I'm going to do legal name or whatever else later on. But right on, John, for U.S. Senate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no big deal. They really like that.
Yeah. Do you think I could be? Do you think I could be elected, John, if I change my name to none of the above?
Well, if you did round top instead of flat top,
yeah,
you might.
I'd make it, huh?
Oh man, it was basically like when I was talking to the secretary,
mm-hmm.
the state's office, and everything like that. It was on the Monday there. It was just one crazy deal, and I ended up getting a couple text messages that Zoe or whatever it is named is trying to raise funds. I got 2 messages on my phone. I don't even know how they got or was able to find my number, you know, and so they're really trying to promote it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you at a school or something, John? Yeah. A lot of backgrounds going on there.
Oh my! Well, no, I told you I'm at Chico Hot Springs.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
actually in the hot pool.
Oh, all right.
At this time.
Yeah.
But Shane, ask me any question. Go for it.
Yeah, Shane, right on. John says, ask him any question.
No, he's a fact checker. I can't ask a fact checker.
Oh boy. We'll get into other space and space aliens and whatever else, economies and whatever we want to think about on the next time here. Once on your next week's award-winning show.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're challenging me to come up with a question for our fact checker. Okay, will do.
There you go.
What? Don't you have anything right now? Come on, boy. You're only 10 years older than I am.
No, we're like Biden. We have no cognitive ability here.
Oh my gosh!
I don't have a cheat sheet in front of me, so.
And I'm in the basement.
Yeah. Throw up some drop sheets and stuff so you don't get that chorus background and stuff like that there, Shane. It'd be really easy to do. And
look, the worst thing you could have heard this week from your president was bring your child to work day.
Yeah.
And not only could he not remember where he was last week, a 4-year-old had to tell him Ireland, but worse, he said, when I became president, I found out that I give all the orders, except I don't. I have to take all the orders I'm given. I'm right on. I mean, he did it to it. He's told what to do.
All right. Gotta go, John. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, boys.
All right, you too. All right, take it easy. Right on, John, at having some fun at the Chico Hot Springs there, Shane. So he was.
You wouldn't know. You've never been there.
I've been there. Of course, I've been there. You don't want to see me.
You mean you've been 100 yards from Yellowstone Park and you didn't walk in?
No. I've been to the gate of Yellowstone Park at least 4 times and haven't gone in. So, from our text line 478-8298, are you a bigot if you hate everything? Asking for a friend. No, if you hate, if you're open to other people's hate, you're not a bigot.
That's right. being a bigot is being intolerant of another person's point of view.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
if
definition.
if they hate someone else, then you're a bigot. You can't be a bigot if you accept their hatred of someone else.
And hatred is totally different than intolerance. They're totally
That's
different
true. Yeah.
positions.
From our text line, the urban bus district pamphlet lied about not cost the taxpayers, no cost to the taxpayers, I think he meant to say.
You got that straight.
Yeah, I got to translate sometimes. HRDC itself is funded through tax dollars and dollars to donuts, more taxes down the road. Well, maybe as they expand their lines and whatever. Why must I, on a fixed income, bail out these depositors for more than what the FDIC insured them? Redistribution of wealth to someone already wealthy, or is it cronyism?
Well, I don't know about you and your favorite donut shop, but we have Tim Hortons up here. It's a name brand. It's famous in Canada, and it saddens me because they make fresh, great donuts like Krispy Kremers and all the other ones down there in your country, but they're too expensive. Again, it's like going to the meat corner in your store and. You look at a ribeye steak and it's $35. It's like what's
going on? Yeah. For our text line 478-8298, I've worked professionally with the LGBTQ plus populations, and I can verify that many children with gender dysphoria do have a parent or parents that also identify as something other than straight. I believe the number of children born gay is substantially less than the media would have us believe. There is a strong social component. And I would agree with that.
Of course, there has to be, because it's a social choice.
Yeah, I would think it's, that you're influenced by all sorts of things, experience, social norms, whatever. So. Montana Town Pumps having a sale right now, $11.99 for a 12-pack of Bud Light, and you get 2 corn dogs with it. That's absolutely hilarious. The corn dogs. I'll agree with that. You gotta have the corn dogs to.
My favorite fair meal, man. That was the one thing I always look forward to as a kid because you couldn't buy corn dogs back then, frozen. But but to have a fresh corn dog at the fair with big dollop of mustard on it. Oh, so good, man. With a lemonade. Remember the lemonade they'd make with real lemons?
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good stuff, yeah. I don't want my tax dollars to pay for their gender reassignment.
Well, if it's a personal choice, it becomes a personal responsibility, doesn't it?
I would think so, yeah.
You'd think so. I would think so.
Who drinks Bud Light except for old white guys? Budweiser was stupid.
Well, the amazing thing about your beer is Bud Light is you got even less alcohol.
Well, it's a light, yeah.
Our beer is 6.0 and yours is 3.2. So you got to drink twice as much of your beer to do the same for a 6-pack here and you're feeling mighty fine. You need almost a case to get anywhere.
I thought Republicans believe parents should have the right to make decisions. Now you're telling me that. Do you want the government to tell the parents what they can do, what they cannot do with their children? Well, when it comes to mutilation of a child who is unable to make an informed decision, I want the government stepping in there. I do. See, when I stop talking, you're supposed to talk, Shane. So
I have no comment.
Well, you can comment on something else. Inflation is now down to 5%, lower than the rest of the world. Help wanted signs everywhere offering $22 an hour. Seems like the economy is booming. Well, it's not booming if they're begging people to work. I think, as I mentioned in the Trump 10 things Trump did, the actual work requirement should be put back in for welfare. So and
the fact is that if it's booming, there aren't wanted signs out there because everybody
was working,
making lots of bucks. Yeah, that's right.
So there you are. So,
and that would drive up wages.
Yeah. Let's take another phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Hi, this is Big Jim from Mokina, Illinois. One thing I want to talk about is a new electric vehicle coming out called the Polestar 2. They're being used by some of the rental companies. It looks like a very reasonably priced EV vehicle, but they're all made in China.
Well, yeah. Well, batteries and a lot of components are made all over the world, and they just call them American made because they're assembled here.
Well, yeah, but there's an argument about the battery issue, and they're not all made in China. The world's largest battery producer for cars is Elon Musk. Okay, he's building more than anyone else, but you won't have the media tell you that because they don't want them. They don't, they want to create this fear of China. He's got plants in Europe, plants in the U.S., plants in China, and he's the man. So they just don't want to give him credit.
Well, most of the things that go into the batteries, though, are mined in places like South Africa with slave labor and all of that stuff as well.
Actually, the majority of it comes from South America.
Yeah.
Lithium.
Okay.
And it's down significantly in price, by the way.
Yeah. I should mention the elevation of Kamloops is 1,132 feet, not 4,800 like we are here.
Okay.
So.
That's a nice view. But I already knew we were shorter than you.
Well, yeah, that you are. All right. Let's see. Fox lies. Okay. Well, that's all we need to say about that one. So.
Okay.
They lie. So get used to it, I guess. Let's see. Funny how you need to prop up Trump's record when we all know what a disaster he was. Like, most like you're afraid he goes to jail will remember that instead of his horrible record. Well, his record speaks for itself. So look it up.
And so does that email, because they didn't give one example of something he failed at.
Yeah.
Well, why do these people keep accusing him of failing?
Yeah.
But they can't come up with one example. Just one.
Yeah.
Not a half a dozen, not 50 like you.
Yeah.
Of reasons of things he was successful at.
Mm-hmm.
Just send Tom one example where he failed.
Yeah. Give me an example. Yeah. And if you want to talk about his personal life, then send me Clinton, send me John, what the guy that ran with Gore, Williams whatever his name is. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like on and on and on.
Yeah, if you want to send me Crooks, let's go for it. Yeah. I still want to be a dolphin. That's signed by Jen, and I blame soy milk. All right, so good for you, Jen.
Well, why wouldn't you want to be a three-dimensional creature? We're only two-dimensional. So.
Well, yeah, there you are. So.
I'd like to be a three-dimensional, animal on the planet. Yeah.
In answer to Cliff's question, it is not what you eat. Read Romans chapter 1, then continue reading the book of Romans for the hope we can all have for today and for our eternity. So, yeah, check out Romans in the King James, I guess, or whatever Bible you have. Why must I prove I am me to pay my bills over the phone? Do strangers call to pay my bills? Why don't you let them pay the bills? I'll go along with that. Yeah, if anybody wants to call up and pay my phone bill, the phone company has my permission not to ask for identification. So
yeah.
$22 an hour doesn't go far when hamburgers $8 a pound. So, you're right on that one. Absolutely true. So, well, I'm going to talk about this parole situation here, Shane. I've got to get on that a little bit. So, if I can find it, what I did with it, it's up here.
Where'd it go?
It's somewhere.
Where'd it go?
It's up here. There it is. All right. It seems that. Through humanitarian parole. This is what it's called, Shane. Humanitarian parole.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, a process previously used for a minimal number of case-by-case scenarios, the Biden administration has brought about 125,000 Ukrainian nationals to the United States, with another 175,000 Ukrainians arriving through other means, such as temporary protected status, a quasi amnesty program. So the Biden's parole pipeline has, in the past few months, has imported more than 300,000 Ukrainian nationals in just a year. That's larger than Charleston, South Carolina, Shane, the population of South Carolina.
Yeah, but this is like, talk about confusing policy. So people coming in like Ukrainians from a war-torn country that clearly, to a large degree, are people that helped Americans before and support Americans now, and trying to do it legally under guidelines that your president sets up. Well, he lets 7 million people down in the border come in with nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know,
I know you are. I'm just.
Why did he parole the Mexicans or the Nicaraguans or the Hondurans or the El Salvadorans or whatever they are? You know, coming from whatever. So, well, between January 21st and February 23, Biden's parole pipeline has brought more than 1 million foreign nationals to the United States, a foreign population that exceeds the population of Alaska, North Dakota, and Delaware. So there.
And more people taking jobs.
Well, that's the thing. The business is all for it because they've got another source of low-cost labor.
That's right.
So,
which is why the Fed is using this as the excuse to raise its rates, because your Fed chairman Powell is saying, "Well, I have to see more people unemployed to to not to stop raising the the Fed rate," and he knows that's not going to happen because he knows he's going to raise the Fed rate. So, but it's a great story. It's a great cover story, but it ain't the truth, baby.
Yeah. Fish and chips with vinegar and salt in Canada, Shane, was my favorite, which is hard to find down here under Canada. So,
well, just ask for vinegar.
Yeah, I think they're all there. Shane will
send you. They have it in the kitchen. I can guarantee you that.
Shane will send you a case of it. Yeah.
No, I won't.
From our text line, or from our app chat line, rather, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, download that app and you'll be able to call us directly from the app. Never miss a thing. According to the Oxford Dictionary study, gay is behavioral, transgender is psychological. So there you are.
Well, there you are.
Well, you heard it here first. So that it's just that easy. So, well, in other news, Shane, Alito says he has a pretty good idea of the identity of the Dobbs decision leaker. The Dobbs decision was the Roe v. Wade before the Supreme Court, and the Alito's
an associate. He's an associate.
Yeah, justice. Associate Justice gave his prevailing opinion, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
So,
the one that was being, filtered around to the other justices is, when they make these decisions, they share them with the, when the Chief Justice gives someone like Alito, to do a decision in the affirmative or the opposition, he shares that with the other members to make edits or add to it.
Sure.
Because it's a group decision. So it initially would be hard to find out who it is, but you're only talking about 50 people. So this can't. Oh, I'm sorry. You only have 18 departments that would be able to figure this out.
Yeah.
Right. You and I know the answer to that.
Well, he doesn't have. He says he has an idea, but he doesn't have any proof of who it actually is. So no names.
He does. He just doesn't want to give it up. What he's saying to everybody is they know, but they won't tell you. That's what he's saying.
Well, he says I don't have proof, substantial proof to back up the claim. So that's why
but
he's
he can't
not,
say.
That's why he's not naming someone.
But he can't say the government knows who it is, but won't tell you. So he says, I have a pretty good idea. It's a good cover. I like it. He's a smart man.
Yeah. Well, what's the problem with sharing the name if he's got proof?
Because it's not his job. It's not his job.
Yeah, I think it is.
And I think he's angry because the FBI and the Justice Department aren't doing their job. That's why.
Well, that could be true too. So.
Because they know it's a woke liberal. Mm-hmm. We all know that. I mean, it's no conservative, person working for an associate justice or the chief justice is going to do that. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Mm-hmm. Could be wrong, expressing an opinion, but there you go.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Alito said in an interview, the marshal did a good job of the resources available, but the evidence was not sufficient to name a suspect. So,
yeah, right.
I would go along with that.
I believe him.
Yeah, I believe him too. I believe him too. I don't think he's got the goods on whoever it might be. So, all right.
Well, the bottom line here, and just as an observation of a person that's run companies before and had people, you have to trust people and you have to delegate for you to grow your business. If you can't trust people, which means you delegate them responsibilities, then you can't, build a company because you can't do it all on your own. So it would seem to me that if they have a pretty good idea and he's not the only one, that person wouldn't be working there anymore, right? You would think. I'm just making an observation.
Yeah. No, I would think so too. So.
And remember that every session they change the people that work for them, and unless they're really specifically amazing and intelligent, they tend to run as many people through the Supreme Court as people that work for them, because it's good on the resumes, especially later in life that you worked with an associate justice.
Yeah, that's true. Last week we had a ongoing discussion, I guess, about the process of discovery, Shane, in a criminal trial. The prosecution is forced to provide the evidence they have that a crime was committed to the defense. And some people said that the defense also has the same obligation, which is not true. And I will talk about it at the top of the next hour.
Oh, good.
So there we are. So
here we are.
Got that going for us. So stay tuned for that discovery. And also we got a lot more to talk about. Student loans are the Article 42 or whatever, the thing at the border. Going to talk about that as well. So stay tuned. A lot more to come right after the news. So stay tuned. 7 minutes after the hour, 55 degrees and sunny outside, Shane. We're on our way to 69 degrees for a high today, hopefully. 70 tomorrow, so it should be a nice Sunday. And every muscle on my body hurts, Shane, from yard work yesterday. Oh, my God. Got out and had to do some stuff, clean up around the yard from all the snow and everything. And, man, I am hurting. So, ouch. So go ahead. It's a two-person show. Talk.
Yeah, I know. You were going to talk about evidence, and
that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah, we had some folks talking about in the Fox trial. Discovery is where the defense has a right to see the evidence the prosecution has. And the defense will ask for things like police reports or forensic analysis or results of physical or mental examinations, evidence seized at the crime scene, names and addresses of the witnesses, relevant witnesses or witness statements, victim statements, I should say, statements made by defendant to the police, summaries of expected expert witness testimony, and sometimes criminal records of witnesses and the defendant. So The defense also has the duty to reciprocate in discovery, but typically the defense won't have the same level of discovery duties as the prosecution simply based on the limited information in the defense's possession. That's what I said before, that the emails that were that the prosecution got in the Dominion case came from whistleblowers and people violating their non-disclosure agreements, not from discovery, because I don't believe any Fox lawyer is going to turn over any incriminating emails to the prosecution.
That's right.
I mean, there wouldn't be any benefit of doing that.
And this important context, because this is the result of a great Chief Justice of your Supreme Court, Earl Warren. Love this, 1891 to 1974. He was born in 1891. So he was your Chief Justice, and I remember because he was around when I was a kid. So he was made the Associate Justice March 1st, 1954. And on October 15th, or October 5th, 1953 to June 23rd, 1969, he was on the court. March 1st, 54, became Chief Justice. Now, in that 15 years, 261 days, this man and his court made every change imaginable. In this case, what you're talking about is exculpatory, or what they call impeaching information. It was called the Brady decision. People need to know this because it was one of the decisions his court made in 1963, Brady versus Maryland, in which the Supreme Court ruled that suppression of prosecution of evidence favorable to the defendant by the prosecutor or the lawyer representing someone in a lawsuit is requested it violates due process. But he defined fair trial, pre-trial, speedy trial, jury trial, counsel and what they could and couldn't do, presumption of innocence, exclusionary rules, self-incrimination, double jeopardy, huge, bail and appeal. So, I mean, not to mention all the other civil rights issues that the court saw, but just in the precedent and procedure of law in your country, this man was a tower. Yeah. So I have had experience in my own personal life with this issue of a lawyer not providing exculpatory evidence, keeping it from the case I was in. And in all these cases in both our countries, that's both our Supreme Courts have in their decision making of this issue in particular, disbarring the lawyer. I mean, that is part of so if someone has done it, they should be disbarred. So again, the accountability is on the box, in the box. It's a matter of law, but nobody is held accountable.
Yeah. Well, in addition, the prosecution will also ask the defense to turn over its witness list, and that seems logical. Summaries of expected expert witnesses' testimony so that they can get their own expert if they need to counter whatever the defense expert says. And
and just to add to that, it's really important because this is one of the greatest causes of delay of action or delay of court. Because when the accused hands over their witness list, then the prosecutor or the defense attorney for a private situation, they get to discover all those witnesses, and vice versa. Yeah. If an accused or someone being sued, it has to be given the witness list that the opposition is going to call for their lawyers to discover them. Yeah. So that's why the famous line, don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. Because if either side didn't get an answer to a question in the discovery, don't ask it in court.
That's for sure. Yeah. Also test exam results. The defense must also notify the prosecution of any defenses it tends to raise, such as an alibi or self-defense or something like that. So the prosecution needs to know what their position is going to be, so that the trial will go along fairly.
And under the Patriot Act, the government can in your country under the Patriot Act, they can just throw you in jail for they don't have to express a reason. They can keep you in solitary confinement, like the January 6, 2020 group that's still in jail, in solitary confinement, have no legal representation, because if they had legal representation, those lawyers could demand discovery. And now, Tucker Carlson 3 months ago shows you all the video about what was going on. And the one guy they accused and throw in jail, the famous Viking, they let out after everyone saw the video. They let him out.
Yeah.
He didn't get pardoned.
They did, yeah.
He didn't, nothing. They just said, they let him out.
Yeah.
But those people are still locked up. I mean, it's a dishonor of justice.
Yeah, it's really criminal. Yeah. Well, for most discovery requests, and this goes back to the Brady bill that you were talking about earlier, Shane, state laws and court laws dictate what must be turned over and when, but one important piece of discovery is constitutionally required. As referenced above, prosecutors have a constitutional and continuing duty to turn over any exculpatory evidence to the defense, and the Supreme Court established the rule in Brady versus Maryland. And exculpatory generally means evidence that tends to contradict the defendant's supposed guilt, or that supports lesser punishment. The evidence doesn't have to strongly indicate innocence in the way of an alibi, for example, would. So there you are.
Yeah, and in Canada, it's a harsh issue, because we have what's called a QC, designation for lawyers, Queen's Court. So it's sort of I even tell more truth to the lawyer, right, or the judge, if they get this designation, a member of the Queen's Court. So give you an example. I was in a situation with a company where a lawyer comes in to a hearing with an affidavit that he didn't, he said, we just got this. And he puts it in the air and says, the defense would tell you that, that my client's lying, but this affidavit. And so for the first time we see it. Well, the affidavit's over a month old, Thomas. So right there, he's broken the exculpatory rule. He didn't hand it over to us to be able to discover this guy on his affidavit. In the affidavit, he makes an accusation against someone and claims he didn't know something, and said that he came up with a new document for this person, which was an employment agreement. And in the employment agreement, it acknowledged that he says in his affidavit he wrote to replace the previous one. In the employment agreement, he acknowledged that he attached as evidence. It said in there that what he was claiming wasn't true. So it was like the whole court and the judge and everybody was like, now what do we do? I mean,
well, the attorney for the defense says, I need a continuance to review this material and, provide a rebuttal to it.
Anyway, I'm just saying that you got to be careful with all the documents, and you got to read them all. That's the harshest thing about it. But now we got AI to do it for us, right, Tom?
That's it. All right. All right. From our text line, 478-8298, you guys in right-wing media are giving the Zoe chick attention and the spotlight. Just ignore her unless you're afraid of her. Well, I'm not afraid of her, but our job here is to throw out information and for the callers and the listeners and the texters to decide what to do with that information. So,
exactly.
If we ignored news, we wouldn't be here. I mean, we'd be talking about what's on sale at the Kamloops market, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. If you run the numbers, the amount of Latinos and Latinas busting our southern border make Mexico could take and take the real estate they lost. Yeah, there you go, I guess.
55% in the Spanish-American War. You know, they want it back.
Well, I don't blame them. I'd want it back too. So, when are they going to attack?
But it was a great grab. It was under President Polk, as we talked. You know, he accessed Texas, and then after the treaty, for the Civil War in 1850 or thereabout, 1849. Between the U.S. and Mexico, and U.S. picked up 55% of Mexico. What a deal, baby!
Yeah.
It was a war.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Shane, as you know, some of the student loans have been refinanced through private institutions. The government loans, have gone to local banks or whatever, savings and loans. So student loan servicers are in a tough bind dealing with reduced staff as they prepare for the unprecedented situation of 44 million borrowers returning to payments later this summer. Why are they still not paying their student loans? Why do we have to wait till summer for these folks to pay up?
Because it's 5% of your debt. The government holds the debt. They own it. It's already part of your debt. 1.7 trillion. We talked about it.
That's it.
And so here you have an entire generation that holds or owes 5% of your debt. That would be a huge success story to come up with a common sense answer, which of course we have.
Yeah. Well, student loan payments are expected to restart at the end of August at the latest, including for many borrowers who graduated during the pandemic and have never made such payments before. So,
well, the fascination is your present policy of this administration and President Biden is not. They say they want to cancel it, but they haven't really, right?
No, they haven't.
They only put off the payments. So now it becomes a political issue, does it not?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you get every American to pay their taxes?
Yeah.
If you have if you have 39 million people that owe the government $1.7 trillion.
Yeah. How about holding off the taxes till next August or something?
Until these people are ordered to pay or are found responsible or held accountable for their liability.
Well, the Student Loan Servicing Alliance, a nonprofit trade association that works on student loan servicing issues, says its members, which include federal student loan servicers, are responsible for servicing over 95% of all federal student loans and the vast majority of private loans. So the lack of money for customers service in the industry can be traced back to a denial of increased funding for the Federal Student Aid Office by Congress last year. And I would bet the Republican budget is cutting, along with veterans, about 20%. It will probably cut this as well.
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know. I feel for those people. They've got a free ride for this long. So if they did graduate during COVID, they should be working and they should have their degree in place. And I'm sure, their liberal arts degree is making them big bucks. I would think so. All right. Where do you think Tucker Carlson's going to land, Shane? He's been...
Well, you look this stuff up and you Google Tucker Carlson's worth, and it's somewhere between 215 million to 300 million. He probably made the Forbes list. So, or no, there's some people claim he's worth 600 million with real estate values.
Yeah,
because he bought a lot of properties. I don't think Tucker Carlson needs to worry. I mean, he'll do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Well, they gave Spotify gave Joe Rogan a multi-million-dollar thing. Sirius gave the shock jock, whatever the hell his name is, I can't forget it right now. They gave him $1 million, several $1 million contracts. Russia today has offered him something, and. America Online, which I think is where the former CNN brother of the New York governor has landed, So he's got a lot of offers out there, and certainly he's got a lot of followers. A lot of people will go after him. In my house, I had 2 rules. I had to listen to Varney Business in the morning and Tucker at night. And, as I appreciate Brian Kilmeade, I don't think he'll be the permanent host there. But, I would usually watch it all week in preparation of our show, but I've watched maybe a couple this week with Brian, but that's it.
No, they have that gentleman. I can't think of it. He's an African American that does the Saturday night show. He's
Lawrence Jones.
Over for Carl.
Lawrence Jones.
Yeah, he's taking Alex Jones. That's the guy. Thank you.
Lawrence Jones, not Alex.
Lawrence
Alex
Jones.
is the other guy.
Lawrence Jones.
Yeah,
he's taking over at Tucker's slot next week.
No, where'd you hear that?
Last night on when he was on with the guy that's filling in, Comey or whatever the guy's name is. They were talking about it.
I think that's a loser.
I could be
I
wrong,
know.
but I watched it last night.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
I could be wrong. I should look it up again.
All right, from our app chat line, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, I'm going to have to sign my messages. Well, John, you don't need to because your name shows up on the app chat line, so or whatever name you put in, I should say. So, from our text line, 4788298, we don't have a representative government when the executive branch controls energy, immigration, free speech, debt ceiling, and everything else. That's Rick Ledoux on behalf of Patty Ledoux.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Lawrence Jones is stepping in for Tucker Carlson next week, so maybe they're trying him out and see how it goes. But I think the odds are that's who it'll go to.
I don't think he'll be a permanent.
Oh no, here it is. 2 hours ago, Lawrence Jones is named as Tucker Carlson's next rotating. So rotating would be the. Yeah, the key word there.
They're going to rotate.
They'll see who gets the best,
Yeah, the ratings.
The thing, I'm glad we just briefly brought this up because this is sort of important. Look, nobody's not expendable in this game.
Oh no,
and O'Reilly proved that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
yeah,
if they got to dump you because of a deal in court or whatever, you say something stupid like Lemon did or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the governor and his brother. One guy's the governor, one guy's
Governor Cuomo,
CNN.
and
Well, I didn't want to bring up their names.
Well, he's off CNN. He's now at America.
But the point
Online
is
or
no
whatever.
one's. Everybody's expendable.
Oh yeah, sure.
They don't care. They just don't.
Yeah, the ratings. The 5 beat Tucker 3.3 million to 3.1 million in viewers, and that's. I've always said that's really amazing that they're on at 5 o'clock Eastern time when everybody's leaving work. how they get that many people when everybody in that time zone you have the largest cities in America in that time zone. How do they get that many people to watch?
Called radio, Tom. What we do, talk radio, like right now.
Well, no, it's TV.
I know, but it's on talk radio.
Well,
they carry it on radio.
I don't know, man. Well,
yeah,
they don't tie the TV and audio ratings together.
And a lot of people record it on their DVD. There's lots of shows I record and see later.
Yeah,
and I do it because I don't want to watch the pillow commercials and stuff like. Like I never watch the 5 when it's on because it's just the commercials are 2 or 3 minutes long.
Oh yeah, it gets ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, so I record it and watch it later.
Okay, sounds good to me. So.
Yeah. That's why people love our show, Thomas.
Well, apparently.
They don't have to listen to, for every hour you're listening to, 20 minutes of ads, right?
Well, yeah, not here.
No, it's the big guy.
Like I say, you're listening to 28 minutes without ads. So.
Yeah, it's the big guy in the Crazy Canuck.
That's it. Well,
the big guy in his muse.
Yeah. Yeah, my bet would be that Carlson would do something like Bill O'Reilly does. He's got the O'Reilly Factor on YouTube and other outlets. I would expect him to do something like that. Or possibly if Spotify makes a offer similar to Joe Rogan, he would probably go over there and just do interviews with people, because I'm sure that with all the people he's interviewed over the past and, knows these people, I think they would probably still come on with him. So.
Well, it's like the Golden Bear in golf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicklaus. No one's going to compare or compete with his record of accomplishments. Not just first place, second place, third place. I mean, like, if you go down the list of him through his golf career from first to 10th place, no one's going to come close. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like Larry King. No, there's never going to be another Larry King. It's just not going to happen.
That's going to be it. All right. We still have a full half hour to go. When we come back, Forbes 2023 billionaire list is out. And guess who's number one? Not Elon Musk. We'll be right back with more right after this. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's April 29th, 2023. Glad to have you along with us. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing in Kamloops, Canada. And as I mentioned earlier, Forbes has come out with their billionaires list, world's richest, and Elon Musk has fallen to second place, Shane.
Well, it's a joke. I mean, they have Bernard Arnault, head of the luxury goods giant LVMH, which is an amazing company. He has built it.
Yeah.
All by acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Is now being by value of its stock. But, when you look at Musk, we're only talking about Tesla. He's got the brick company. He's got
a space company too. Yeah.
SpaceX. I mean, he's got the drilling machine company. I mean, he's got his AI company. I mean, the guy, no, not even close.
Oh, well, Arnault's worth $211 billion. He owns 75 fashion and cosmetic brands, including Louis Vuitton and others. So I could certainly see the reason Musk dropped to second place was because he bought Twitter. That took some of his wealth away. And Twitter isn't worth the amount of money he paid for it, as far as.
No, he's already said it's worth 20. It's only worth $20 billion.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he went down. And Jeff Bezos is number 3, of course, Amazon, and his wealth really dropped. He was worth 177 in 2021. Now he's at 114. So he's made quite a drop in his. Number 4 is Larry Ellison of Oracle. If you remember, Oracle bought Right Now Technology from Greg Gianforte for about $5 billion, and his has been going up and staying steady. So he's doing just fine. He's 78, by the way. So. Warren Buffett.
Well, Amazon, as you know, after the split, we warned everyone about this, but it's at $105, down 45 cents. Yeah. But here's another quandary, and the reason is that the PE ratio on Amazon is, hold on to your seats, 255.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a crash right now in the market, and people aren't even buying companies with cash flow better than this with a PE ratio of 10 or 12. And this is at 255. And boy, 59 million shorts on it. So you can double that. Those are reporting with 8 or almost 9 billion shares out. So this Bezos is in serious trouble. The Amazon numbers weren't any good. Most of the numbers that they reported, the stock got up, and they made a big deal about it going up 8%. It's because some shorts had to cover, and then it dropped. Back down to it was up $8, and that's because the shorts ran in covered, and then they shorted it back to $105. It's going to $70.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity when you bring this up for me to say something that I know something about.
P&E, profits to earnings.
That's right.
Yeah, so just for the benefit of the
Earnings
listeners.
per share, baby. That's what I call this crash. An earnings per share crash. Yeah. Declared November 2021.
All right. Warren Buffett.
I get to prop myself up. You won't.
What do you mean I won't? I prop you up all the time.
Oh, yeah, right.
Half man, half amazing?
No, I don't know.
Come on. Jeez.
Well, I'm not an animal trainer.
Well, 92-year-old Warren Buffett finds himself in fifth place, and his wealth has gone down as well from $118 billion last year to $106 this year. So the market has hit him pretty hard.
It has, and keep in mind now he's passed, and he's going to have another annual meeting very soon, like
that's true.
Next week. So Berkshire Hathaway's at 500,000, and it's down. I mean, it was at 590. It went to 393,000. Now, why is that? Oh, because there's only 750. There's only 750 million shares out on it, or no? Excuse me. The public float's 590,000 K.
Yeah.
500,000 K.
Yeah.
And then not 500,000 shares. Well, him and Munger own 52% of that. The average shareholder has less than 1,000 shares, and making 400 million cash a week. A week. That's 1.6 billion a month. That's like 20 billion in cash a year. So he's going to take it private before he dies. He's out of the.
Well, I don't know. They've already named his successor, so he's in.
I know, but I'm talking about the stock and what's going on.
Well, we'll see. I don't know why he would take it private, but what do I know? 67-year-old Bill Gates comes in at number 6 with $104 billion. He was worth $129 in 2022 and dropped to $104 this time around. Of course, Microsoft and all that, and he isn't really too active in the company anymore. He's taken on philanthropic things. Well, that's partially it. The other side of it is Microsoft's the only real stock that's held up during this crash, around the $300 to $350 range. Yeah. But the important thing about him that we've talked about for 10 years, and I let everybody to know, is that when he created Microsoft, he was the first person to create the shareholder rights agreement, meaning a principal like Bill Gates had the right each year to buy an equivalent amount of stock that he had sold at a right price at around, it initially was around 25 cents. Yeah. And with the splits and everything, it's gone up. So he's literally, once after 3 years, you can start selling more stock. So, I mean, the man has been able to sell literally millions of shares of stock at $300 and then buy back at, I think the last buyback he did was around $12 or something like that. Yeah. Nice deal. What a great deal. Shareholder right agreement. Get one if you get in a public company. Well, there you go. From our text line, in rebuttal to the fact that I don't support you, a whole man and a dancer. So there you are, Shane. So
there you are. That works.
That's you. All right, 81-year-old Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York City, rolls in at $94.5 billion. He's into information and media and all of that stuff. But we all know his story. And
and he's so brilliant that he tried to run for president. If you remember, 2020, and he spent $1.2 billion.
I know, financing his own losing campaign.
He ended up with 9, what are they called? The delegates?
Yeah, something like that.
For $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
Trump spent $79 million or no, 7 79?
Yeah,
79 million, right?
Whatever. Well, if you've seen videos of the border crossing, you know that every border crossing legal has a phone. And you can thank 83-year-old Carla Slim for that, telecommunication giant in Mexico. So I guess he's passing out phones as soon as you come across the border. because I don't understand how these people have phones, how they pay their bill, the phone bill, unless somebody somewhere else is doing it for them, just to keep in contact with them. But I don't understand how somebody who all they've got is the clothes on their back can afford a phone. So.
Yeah, it is quite remarkable. Apple just started open offices in India, and the phone sales, cellular phones in India have dropped 39% in the first quarter of this year. 1.2 billion people, but about 400 million people in the country have cell phones.
Yeah. Number 9 is some guy from India, 65 years old. I can't pronounce his name, so we're just going to move on to number 10, Steve Ballmer, who retired from Microsoft, started it with Gates, or came on board early when Gates was first starting up. He owns a couple Seattle sports teams, I believe. So he's doing okay at $80 billion net worth. And another guy from France, the L'Oreal fashion and retail, 69-year-old Francois Betancourt and family, $80.5 billion. And the interesting thing, the two owners of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Larry's making a couple billion more than Sergey is. I don't know. Is that culture shaming going on there or what? Yeah, Larry's worth $79 billion. He's 50, so we're going to have to contend with him for a long time. And Sergey is $76 billion. He's 49 years old. So anyway, that rounds out your top 10. We had a question last week, Shane, about where the coal in Montana comes from.
That's right.
The richest city in Montana is Colstrip. The median household income, not average, the median household income, $86,797, 26.3 more than the U.S. median income. The households, they've got 5 households earning over $200,000, and median earnings for workers, $51,650 for males, or the median income is $51,650. Males make $72,917. Females make $38,125.
And the reason for that is because it's open pit. So open pit's the most efficient and produces the most coal as opposed to, agate or underground coal mining. So there you go.
Yep. Let's see. They've 97% have health insurance, 6% unemployment. Families below the poverty level, 3.4%. It's built on the coal. The hills surrounding Colstrip sit on top of the richest coal fields in the country, and as such, Colstrip's home to the second largest coal-fired power plant. Well, it was till they shut 2 down in the West, according to NPR, and according to the highest-paying industry is in Colstrip is utilities. So there you are.
That's right.
So we brought you up to speed on all the money rolling around in here. Well, going back to the Supreme Court, when I was a kid growing up, Shane, one of the things I remember was when my parents would take us out for a ride in the country or whatever, we'd go by farmers' fields, and they'd have signs in the field, impeach Earl Warren. And I had no idea who Earl Warren was, and I had no idea what impeach meant. But apparently somebody took exception to Earl's various rulings in the Supreme Court.
Well, not really. I mean, the biggest controversy during his tenure as, the Chief Justice was their investigation of the JFK assassination, which they put out as a very large book, 1,500 pages, called the Warren Report. And, they had designated who the shooter was, and that he acted alone. And no one's ever believed that story. And the records were all sealed by the government. So that was the only real controversy, and that's why people always have a bit disdain. Unless you're a racist, because, with regards to those type of decisions, he he was an outstanding guy. And but as I said earlier, when you look at the transitional changes that he made to the process and procedures of the law and the courts in your land, the guy was a tower. I mean, he's just huge.
Oh, he was, no question. his his position in history.
Yeah, I mean, search and seizure, and the big one is when you arrest someone, you have to read them their rights, and we've seen it all on TV, so I don't have to go through that.
Sure,
we know.
Yeah, that was a defense brought up by a what do they call him? The appointed prosecutor. A person couldn't afford a lawyer, so
That's right.
So the person they appointed to the court came up with the Miranda decision.
That's what it was, a Miranda decision based on federal criminal law.
Yeah.
Were
you advised of your rights? Yeah. Were you advised of your rights?
But expanded it to everything civil.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, a pro-public investigation into undisclosed luxury trips by Justice Clarence Thomas, received from GOP mega donor Harlan Crow, has set off a firestorm among skeptics of the conservative court, and they're looking for to reevaluate or redesign their ethical standards of what's reported and what's not reported. We've talked about this in past shows that according to...
there's a silliness, it's misdirection. The bottom line, any case that his friend even comes close to, even, he would recuse himself. And that's why that's there in the law, is that a judge can recuse themselves because any kind of personal or business relationship with somebody involved in a case before him. And, saying, please, come on, let's get on with something real.
Well, there are some who believe that he has ruled on cases that involve.
Yeah, well, give
Harlan
me one,
Crow.
because no one else has found. So,
well, I've read.
Don't make the accusation and not give me one.
Yeah, well, I've read a few, but I should pull that back up, I guess. But anyway, 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Well, I'm curious, and I know you guys would be able to find out and tell me. Whatever happened to D'Souza or something like that with his...
Dinesh D'Souza and the 1,000 Mules.
Yes.
Yeah. It went nowhere. Nobody gave it any credibility other than him and right-wing media. And it never went anywhere as far as... Well, one of the reasons it didn't go anywhere because no charges of fraud in the election were brought forward where it could be used as proof of fraud.
Oh, I see.
So I think that's the big reason that, a lot of people think that...
That's Tom's way of telling you there was no accountability.
That's true, yeah.
Because clearly what he showed was just video of drop boxes that governments, whether local or federal, doesn't matter, had cameras on drop boxes. And he showed the video of the same person dropping dozens and dozens of boxes and numerous occasions at different boxes, different people. So clearly there was something wrong there, and it was never properly investigated, nor was anyone charged for it. So there you go.
Well, that's why I say nobody has brought a charge.
But to say 1,000 Mules was a watch, no, that's not true. It went viral.
Well, it went viral, but it didn't go anywhere in the courts. It didn't go anywhere in the courts.
It didn't result in anything, but it was seen by a lot of people.
Sure. Well, it's JFK assassination, too, so same thing.
There you go, buddy.
So, yeah.
A conspiracy, buddy. That's what it's called.
Only 20% of people believe we landed on the moon. So there you go.
Uh-oh, I'm spinning in my seat again.
Believe your eyes.
Is this where we start talking about electric flying vehicles?
No, let's not go there. Thanks for the call so much. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate you guys out there. Thank you. All right. Yeah, with Roberts on the Supreme Court and things in general in government, Shane, they're Jim Jordan is calling people for, these various committees, what's going on over the justice, how come you haven't done this, how come you haven't done that, and it's a never-ending revolving door over there as to what's going on. So, all right, I'll keep talking.
They did a movie about it for kids called The Never Ending Story, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah. Well, Disney.
That was a joke, Tom.
I know. I'm glad you told me.
No, I laughed. But...
I know. I'm glad you laughed. So I don't know. Disney sues DeSantis, alleging harm to its business, and I would tend to agree with that. But I think Disney shot themselves in the foot by doing the same thing Bud Light did, and expecting people to just embrace this as, oh, we're all inclusive, we're all one big happy family, let's all accept everything and everybody at face value, and nothing's wrong with anybody, anywhere, anything. So.
Yeah, they always attack a publicly elected representative that actually does their job, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the first guy since Disney in Florida 50 years ago, or whatever it's been, said, hey, wait, let's take another look at this, really. I mean, yes, at the beginning it was great, and there's no question that Disney did a lot of good, but the company's done incredibly well because of it too. By the way, interesting fact, you may enjoy this. Orlando, Florida, where Disney World is the country's leading city for a new franchisee for food to open. Like they opened their first franchisees in Orlando because Orlando has the largest representative of Americans for them to make a determination if it could go national, and I find that interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Well, you get people from all over the country and all over the world going there.
That's right.
I haven't been to Yellowstone Park, but I've been to Disneyland and Disney World, both.
Yeah, so. I back in the '80s, I backed and helped finance a state company that they opened up 6 stores. It's similar to the Outback story, an amazing story. We should talk about it sometime. But having said that, and within a year, we got bought because, it was the big thing back then. But you have an Outback, right?
We do.
We do.
You
go to it? You go to it?
Sure, every once in a while, yeah.
Those onions, those
blooming onions.
Oh, my God, they're delicious.
They are pretty good, yeah. Well, we're supposed to be, quote, getting a Chick-fil-A too, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I've years ago, like 10 years ago, I tried one once on a trip, and it was okay, nothing exceptional. It's like that Subway, joint you go to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to get the right sandwich,
That's right.
I mean, they got like 25 or 50 of them or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, it's a taco that you fill yourself, right?
Yeah.
Instead of a bun.
Yeah. Well, Disney's suing Florida because the state revoked its self-governing authority, and that's a big deal when you can self-govern your park and do whatever you want to do, regardless of the laws of the state or whatever. That's pretty powerful, and so. Over the company's political activities. And I don't know why these companies have to get involved in these specific groups. I mean, aren't they trying to attract all Americans? So why not just say, hey, everybody's welcome, come on down?
Well, apparently not. Hollywood destroyed their brand. The NFL almost destroyed their brand, with, half the American people, that's, you're absolutely right. I cannot believe that a marketing group of people in a company sat down and came up with anything to basically tell half the country, don't come to our business. Yeah. By the way, Disney's the only company in the history of your country to have been given or granted these rights by a state. The only company.
Yeah, the only one.
One of a kind, baby.
That's it. Yeah, well, Disney, one of Florida's largest employers, said the nullified contracts laid the foundation for billions of Disney investment dollars and thousands of jobs. So we'll have to leave it there, Shane, because we're out of time. Say goodbye.
We are. Be happy, be safe, everyone. Great show, great calls. Tom, best friend forever. I so much appreciate you having me here as your muse. It's a wonderful delight. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. It's summertime and it's hot and it's coming. Live in the moment. That's all you got. Live to work. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you again next weekend. Thanks, Dave Thomas.
All right. Thanks very much. Thanks, Shane, for being with me. Half Man, Half Amazing. Don't forget our podcasts on Tuesday and Thursday on Facebook, on YouTube. Just do a search for Tom and Shane, and you should find that easily. Also, our past shows are at KMMSAM.com. Tom and Shane podcast. Click on that, and it'll take you right to it. That's going to be it for us. I am out of here.